Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and politics. Our user feedback is from someone who's been marathoning our show, and we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories and photos we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 75. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we took off last week for Thanksgiving, and then last week I didn't know what to do with myself because I had more time, and this week I'm like, oh, I don't want to work this much.
I don't know. I thought last week, or Thanksgiving week, it was very peaceful for me.
That's cool.
I just felt like I had just the right amount of work to keep it interesting, and we had some good stories to talk about, and then, I don't know. This week has just been dull.
Oh, maybe that's it. I've been eating so much this week. I don't know what it is. It just feels like lockdown is starting to really get to me. I mean, I know it should have done earlier, and it probably did, but I'm just like, okay, when is this going to be over? I'm so over it,
No, I get like that. I'll have a few days where it's really getting to me and I eat a lot, or I can't be settled. But I'm not feeling like that today or this week.
That's cool.
I've been going for walks because the weather has been so cold and nice. It's nice walking weather.
Oh, I should do that. So. That sounds nice. I kind of gave it up once it got chilly. I was like, I'm good.
I'd rather walk when it's chilly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always feel better when I go outside, but then I'm like, oh, it's too cold. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I organized everything since my mom is in a assisted living facility. And she came out for a few hours, and I did a Thanksgiving picnic so that we wouldn't have to be around people, and she wouldn't have to walk upstairs or anything. So
it was a beautiful day by us that day.
It was really warm. Gorgeous. It was 70 degrees. It was literally 70 degrees and sunny and beautiful.
It's crazy. We just stayed home. I made a potato casserole and a turkey breast, one of those big bone-in ones. And it turned out good, and we ate a lot, and that was about it, And I had Skypes with my family. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a story about the cat, one of the cats.
Okay.
So this is my panther kitten, who is not really a kitten, but he's still very small, and he's very kitten-ish. He likes to act like a baby. He likes to get in my hair and kind of groom me like he would a mother kitty.
That's
he
cute.
loves to do that. And so he does that when I'm sitting down, or even when I'm sleeping, he'll get up in my hair and he loves to sleep on my pillow. It's we have a very complicated relationship.
He's licking your head?
Mostly it's just putting his face in my hair.
Aww.
But sometimes he likes to bite my hair. And this doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened a few times where I'll find a strand of hair, just on the floor because he's gnawed off a strand. And it freaks me out, but I'm like, God damn it.
He bites your hair out.
Yeah, he bites my hair out. So the other day I was walking, and my hair is really long right now. I haven't gotten it cut. I haven't had a haircut in months and months. And I had it back in a ponytail like I always do when I'm walking. And I was like, why is this strand of hair in my face? What is this? Mm-hmm. And I was trying to figure it out. The cat has cut bangs. That's the only way I can describe it. He's chewed off my hair to the point where I have a little fringe on the side.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So you got bangs, but the cat did it. It's
the cat gave me bangs. He gave me a little fringe, and I'm so mad at him.
That's so wild. You're lucky you have such great, long, thick hair. My hair's been falling out like crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been really bad. I was going to write a story about it, but or just included in a story. I Googled it, and it's a post-COVID complication that a lot of people are having is their hair is falling out. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that.
I saw that. Like Alyssa Milano or somebody like that was talking about it.
And then other people, because it was in my local newspaper, a local person had a mild case and their hair was falling out. But it's been really bad. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get a wig. I mean, I can use those sprays that cover up your head. They're called root spray. So it's kind of like Bronco. You remember that stuff? But it works.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's that, if it's, I have that alpha gal where I'm allergic to beef, and some people get hair loss after that. It could be hormonal, like menopause, but yeah, my hair is really thinning and you can start to see my scalp and stuff. It's scary to me. Oh well, there's worse shit. I'm trying to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe say get some like do-rags, get some like cute scarves and stuff like
there's
that.
There's some really pretty ones. Or I could just start wearing hats, I mean, there's really cute hair ties and do-rags. If I have to splurge on a really nice wig, I could do that too. I'm not sick or anything. It's just my hair's falling out. So I'm trying to not freak out about it. I only wash it every other day now just because I can't stand to see how much is coming out in the shower.
Yeah, that's wild. I remember one of the I think it was Alyssa Milano, like showing like clumps of hair out. That really freaked me out. That's one of my big fears.
That's what happens.
Hair coming out in clumps. Oh, God. Ugh.
I got this stuff. It's this fermented rice water, and ordered off of Amazon. I had featured it on one of the posts, and that really seems to help somewhat. So I've been using that before I wash my hair and just letting it sit. But yeah, it's something. I think I did have it early in March, and that's a long-term effect. But whatever, it's just fucking hair,
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off on that tangent. I didn't mean to talk about it. I didn't know your story was going to be about your hair.
I just thought it was a cute story. I was like, Jesus, why do I have bangs now? It's the cat.
You have to put like spray your hair with something the cat doesn't like, that doesn't bother you. Like mint oil. He
obviously thinks that I'm a big kitty.
Aww.
And he thinks I'm his mama kitty. So I don't think any of that will work.
Don't bite my hair. Put the stuff in it that people put on their nails so that you don't bite them. Like the cat's like that.
I never needed any of that. I've never been a nail biter.
I haven't.
Now I bite my cuticles. I do bite my cuticles.
I don't bite my nails or cuticles or anything. All right, so let's move on to talking about the royals, because there's tons of royals news. It's always royals and politics lately. I want another scandal. Like.
Yeah, I was trying to make that Larsa Pippen story happen, but people got like mad at me because I suggested that perhaps she shouldn't be boning a married man, much younger married man.
It's like 20 years younger than her, right? 22.
Yeah, and like everyone's like, don't slut shame her. I'm like, well.
I saw that on Twitter. Sometimes stuff is real big on Twitter, and then we'll try to make it happen, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's a shame because we need some better gossip. So when we were taking a break, Duchess Meghan published an essay in the New York Times about a miscarriage she'd had in July. And this was the first that anybody learned about it, which was good. I'm glad she was able to tell it on her own terms. And her essay was called The Losses We Share. She didn't get into many details other than, like how sad she was and how tough it was for her and Harry. And then she turned it around to talk about other people and how we should reach out to our friends and make sure they're okay. And you never know what anybody's going through type of thing. I thought that was really nice and thoughtful.
Yeah, and I thought it was good that she had months to reflect on what had happened. And it felt like she was still very sad, but it was just another reminder that we do need to check in on one another, especially in this godforsaken year.
Yeah.
Her message probably would have been different if she had come out right after the miscarriage and said something. I think because she was months after the fact and more reflective, and she made it into like a bigger like Thanksgiving message. Mm-hmm. I think people had less to argue about. Does that make sense? Like, It wasn't so personal. It was more of a general, let's be nicer to each other.
She really did a good job of that balance of kind of like revealing how it affected her and not making it about her. Although she could have, there's nothing saying that would have been in any way wrong or anything like that. It was a good essay. And You're right. It's better that she waited a little while. You made a point that I didn't realize that happened when Finding Freedom came out.
Yeah.
So everyone was bashing her for this, what was in that book.
I mean, yeah, like think about all the headlines, all of the craziness over the summer around Finding Freedom, and all of the British media was like freaking out ahead of the publication. It would have been horrible and weird for her if she had talked about the miscarriage in that space of time.
Yeah, it would have been.
I don't think that she and Harry told his family at all at that time. I don't think Charles was told, or the Queen, or William.
I think you're right. We were talking about this at Zoom, and the consensus, and I'll play a clip in a second, was that she couldn't have told them because somebody would have leaked.
For sure. Well, I mean, the second that William found out, he would have leaked it.
Yeah.
The only thing he keeps secret is his own coronavirus.
Yeah, he was fine about keeping that secret, even though that's a major health issue for everybody who dealt with him. And he's in line for the throne. It should be public news. Anyway, so here's that segment from Zoom where we talked about this.
Do y'all believe that Prince Charles knew about Meghan Markle's miscarriage?
10 minutes before then she published it in the New York Times.
Yeah.
I don't think they told them a damn thing. Like you said, they let them know before it went live. But if they had told any of them, that would have been plastered all over somebody's magazine, newspaper, whatever.
Absolutely. There's no way that it wouldn't have been leaked. I think they called them right before that it was published.
At the moment, they're still kind of doing the sympathetic angle because that sells more. Give it a couple of weeks. And also there was the backlash after Chrissy Teigen, which I think has made them probably respond more sympathetically than they would have done before. Whereas I think if that hadn't happened and been shared, then that would have been the response that Meghan got straight away. And yeah, I think they only told Charles and just before, because the problem with the royal family, you're not just phoning your dad. Even if they phoned Charles when it happened, which I don't think they did, there's too many people just around and lurking, so nothing's ever private.
Like you were saying, I don't think they told the Windsors right away.
Yeah, and it's just like the question of, so when did the Windsors find out? I think, you know, what the girls were saying was right. I think maybe Meghan and Harry told them just before the New York Times dropped the op-ed.
Yeah.
Like a day before, maybe.
And if the news came out before that, then they would really know that they leaked. It's not like they can just call him up on his phone.
I do wonder if Harry kind of quietly keeps in touch with like Eugenie and maybe Zara. I could see him. Yeah,
they gave Eugenie Frogmore, and that was a boss move too.
Yeah, and like that wasn't leaked ahead of time, and the papers were so mad that they didn't get photos of Harry and Meghan's stuff being moved out in the dead of night.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that.
And like Zara, like, you know, Zara has been through a painful miscarriage herself, and she's close in age to William and Harry. She's always been like a big sister to them. So I could see Harry keeping in touch with Zara and keeping her apprised of whatever was happening in his life. I don't know. Harry definitely knows that he can't tell William anything. And probably not his father.
And not his father or the Queen, because there's so many people around them who are nosy.
Right.
So we also, while we were on the break, Kate announced her 5-question survey on the early years, which was launched earlier in late January before the pandemic, and they finally are releasing the results, which it was online. It wasn't really controlled.
It went from the 5 big questions to the 5 big insights, and the insights were supposedly drawn from her 5 big question survey, except she needed all this extra data from another poll.
Because they did another British survey during the pandemic, a different company did it, of 3,700 people. And they put that data with Kate's data, and then it amounted to a hill of beans, you know? And it was like Kate reading stuff and people being like, okay, sure, what does that mean? And you know what I'm saying? I've been trying to give this woman a chance. I have not seen her do shit.
It was so obviously busy work. They just set up some little photo ops and they wanted to do some like cutesy videos, and that was it. That was the end of it. It was just cutesy videos for a few days. And she had to make a big speech. The whole point of the speech seemed to be Kate trying to convince people that she cared about early years child development before she had kids. Why is that important?
I gotta play this clip. It's very short. This sums up Kate's entire work approach.
And next year, we will announce ambitious plans to support this objective.
Right? How many times have they had big announcements of future things which are vague? Like, how many times have we heard them say that? Like, that's... You wrote a great line. I couldn't find it again. You were saying that this is Trumpian, like telling instead of doing. And that is exactly what it is. It's like, oh, we're going to do something great next year. Okay, you just had a fucking survey that took 10 months, and you're going to do something next year.
And the goalposts keep shifting, and the nature of what they say their goals are keep changing. In January of this year, we heard that the survey would help inform Kate's future work. But we also heard that the 5 questions was the sum total of the previous 9 years of work.
Okay. So I'm going to link this in the post. You tweeted her pictures that they released from Kensington Palace of Kate, like looking at pie charts and taking notes. And it was awesome and true. And
her busy work photos were amazing. I mean, they really were, because it was so staged. It looked like those photo stock pictures.
Yes.
Of, here's a woman looking at a pie chart.
Yeah, it did. Oh my God. So we talked about this in Zoom, and that's exactly what everybody said. So here's that segment.
I feel like they probably hired a poor graphic designer. Like, we need you to make this look really sophisticated. And, like, there's 2 things on here.
Meanwhile, he's on PowerPoint.
Right. The one where she's staring at the screen of the pie chart and she's like really looking at it. It's like, oh my God.
It reminded me of when PowerPoint first came out and everyone was like, oh, we have to use it. And it's like, look at this. It's like, what are we looking at? It's literally a pie chart with 2 things. Yeah, but look at my little bean clip art, man. Like, you know.
Yeah, look at my 3D bars. Different colors. Look.
And don't have a transition with like sparkles when it goes to the next slide.
It dissolves. Yeah.
Or the slow fade away.
It's like Kate never had a real job, so she's never sat around and played with PowerPoint, and they hired some graphic designer to make this and make it look like she's doing something.
Everything about Kate's royal work, it just emphasizes over and over and over again how she never had a job. She doesn't know how to dress for a work situation.
No, I'll give her credit. She looked pretty good for this one.
Well, yeah, because she was copying Meghan's blazers. That's what it was. Like,
yeah. Well, she learned something. She didn't learn how to actually produce something, but.
And William and Kate, they have the Sussex's old social media guy now. And so that's why they're doing all this wham, bam, boom, cutesy videos. They're going to zoom in and out real quick. And here's Kate posting her insight number 2 onto a wall. Ooh, how cute.
Oh, that was so weird. She's like taping it on some wall. What does it even mean? It's so
the
out of
21st
context.
Century Martin Luther with wiglets and buttons.
Yeah, that was accurate. What is that?
And like, no one is actually talking about the insights because they were such basic bitch mom stuff.
Yeah.
Here's an insight. Your kid needs to be raised. You know,
yeah. I didn't even notice that about it, was that it was these insights, because they seem so dumb. Anyway, okay. So, but, you know, look at what Meghan did. She worked with actual organizations who are already doing it. Where are the experts that Kate is working with? There aren't any. I want to hear some psychologists. I want to hear some teachers, child development experts. She's not talking to any of those people. They've already done all this work.
Yeah, I wrote that People magazine story where they quoted at length from a child development expert, an actual doctor, an academic who does all these studies and, is basically looking for grant money. And he was talking up Kate and basically just saying, no, she's totally legitimate. She knows all this stuff. And that's what early years is all about. It's all about academics telling Kate that she's important.
But where are they in her work? Like, she should be highlighting them, not herself.
But that's not the point of her work.
I know. I'm just angry at that. Your mom and dad worked in education. My parents worked in education. People who work with kids should be taking the center stage for this.
Right, but that's not her whole deal. Her whole deal is that she wants to be important. She wants to look busy. She wants everyone to think that she's an expert now. And that's the whole point of it. It's not actually to help children.
Yeah, it's outrageous. So I just am thinking of all the work Harry and Meghan have been doing where they're like talking to actual experts and letting other people talk who've made it their life's work and have PhDs in it. And Kate's like, look what I figured out. I'm serious. This is hugely obvious anyway. All right, let's move on to something else. I'm getting mad the more I think about it because I haven't really spent much time thinking about her. And
and those videos where she was speaking, like, her accent is incomprehensible in moments.
It's hard to figure out what she's saying.
And they must have made her do so many takes because the takes don't match up and she looks really angry in some of them.
She does. She does not look like she's happy about it. So the kerfuffle over the crown is still happening. And credit to Rhiannon, she used that word in Zoom and everyone was dying laughing at it. And like, oh, I love that word. But they keep complaining about the crown. It's been 3 weeks. And that's all they're doing is bringing more attention to the crown. And the British Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden called for Netflix to put a disclaimer before it that it's fiction. He called it highly sophisticated propaganda and that he fears a generation of viewers who did not live through these events may mistake fiction for fact. Diana, in her own words, is also on Netflix right now. And that pretty much proves a lot of how Diana was treated and that she said it herself, which is what Netflix has been tweeting in response to people. So
what I found interesting about, like you just quoted the British Culture Secretary, the Daily Mail put his statement in a story where Clarence House sources were still bitching and moaning about how Charles is really worried about the crown doing lasting damage. I feel like this entire 3-week hissy fit has really just been at the behest of Charles. Charles calling all of his allies in the media and I guess in government as well, trying to make a big fuss about how the crown isn't real. And of course it's a drama. And the way they're nitpicking this in only very particular ways is so telling.
Ooh.
They just don't want to admit that actually the crown is getting a lot of the broad strokes right. So they just nitpick and say, well, this conversation never happened. Okay, but is the essence of that real? They won't answer that. They won't admit that.
A lot of it is based on actual details that Diana told and that were documented at the time. And so we talked about this in Zoom. And this is Karen, Ashley, Rhiannon, and Tanisha.
Charles has really worked on trying to rehab his image for the past 20 years and get the public to accept Camilla. Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of enjoying a lot of good press for the past couple of years. And now all this is being drudged up. But I mean, we've got footage of how, cold he was to her. And it's not like we didn't see it in real time. So I'm just like, why is everybody just blowing up? And of course, this is somehow Harry and Meghan's fault because as you all know, they're employees of Netflix because that's how it works. So I was laughing at, well, if Netflix fires Harry, Harry doesn't work for Netflix. I'm like, what is this?
Black Twitter has been unstoppable with the memes. I don't think a ton of Black people are into the royal family outside of Diana. And once people started talking about the Diana aspect of it, My sister never heard her talk about it, but literally today on Facebook, she's like, I'm going to watch The Crown. And everyone is in her timeline saying, just go to season 4. Exactly what you all said. Just go to season 4. And they all hate Prince Charles and Camilla, like hate her. And the clip that's been running on Twitter where they're like, Diana found that note on her bed. It was very much so giving me Shirley and Barbara from Woman to Woman. So, I mean, Camilla might say she can't compete with Diana, but privately, she absolutely was like trying to compete with her.
Well, and I think Black Twitter also has loved Harry ever since he went to Jamaica. And he did the AIDS test with Rihanna.
It was Jamaica. It's when he was dancing with those Black ladies in the circle. And we all were like, oh, Harry gonna marry a Black woman.
So, yeah, that's another thing. Everybody on social media is going crazy. And the more that they talk about it in the British press and deny it, the more people on Twitter talk about it and Instagram.
Yeah, and like the Instagram thing is so funny because, I mean, those are the younger people. Those are the people who don't have any memories of Diana. They were born after Diana died, usually.
Yeah.
And, like, they're going on Clarence House's Instagram and, like, quoting, like, Forever Diana and putting hearts, Diana stars. And
everybody loves Diana. And she has appeal even to the new generation who hasn't met her yet. And now they're seeing her through The Crown. And through these documentaries that are airing on Netflix, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and what's funny is that when Diana first fell in love with Charles during their courtship, a lot of British commentators, they're like, you know, Diana is such a throwback. Daughter of an aristocrat, doesn't really do anything. You know, she's not particularly well educated. She's just sort of like waiting around for a husband. And, you know, like that's not the modern womanhood. And yet, Diana became such a modern figure. Like, she modernized the fuck out of that dusty old institution. She modernized England. She modernized Britain.
Yeah. She actually, like, set about to do charity work that she cared about, and it really showed in her work with people. She will always be remembered for that. Okay, let's talk about politics. The Biden transition finally got authorized, but like Trump and his OANN buddies and Giuliani are still like doing this. What do they call those hearings? Like, what's the word for like sham hearings? It's like a colloquialism.
Kangaroo court?
Kangaroo court, yeah. They're having like these crazy hearings in Michigan right now with all these like weird, these white people like being like, yo, I saw voter fraud. And they're just so crazy. Some of them say racist shit. That one lady was really drunk who was with Giuliani. If she wasn't drunk, she was on like some heavy meds. And it's outrageous. It's just
the one
crazy.
Who was like an SNL character, basically.
Yeah,
and she was like, no, let me tell you.
Okay.
She was like badgering the Republican Michigan lawmakers. It was hilarious.
Something.
Everyone was like, Kate McKinnon's got to play her. No, Cicely Strong is going to play her.
It's just a circus.
Yeah. I'm not actually paying that much attention to whatever they're calling it, like the Kraken, the huge legal team. Those people are such morons. They're such idiots. I just can't take it seriously. I can't worry about it because they're ridiculous.
Yo, Fox News isn't even giving it much air. Like, that's where we're at now. They had to get a different network. Like, this is not... And so the Attorney General Bill Barr said, okay, there wasn't fraud. And now Trump is all mad and going to fire him from what we heard. And it's just outrageous.
One day this week, I was like, it's weird that Trump is being so quiet. Like, no one is talking about his tweets right now. And I like went onto his Twitter to see if he had been tweeting anything crazy. The man had spent the like 2 hours straight tweeting clips from OANN, the OANN network.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's
just
what it
crazy
calls
shit
OANN.
about voter fraud that like didn't make any sense. And that's all he was doing, was just sitting on Twitter tweeting all these clips. And it wasn't even news that night. Like, no one even said anything.
People are starting to ignore him now, which is good. It's like, finally. And it should have been done 2 years ago. So he's probably going to pardon his kids preemptively, whatever that means. You said that, who did that for Nixon? Ford did that for Nixon?
Yeah, Ford did that for Nixon. And that's like the only real like preemptive, like big preemptive pardon. It would be noteworthy. I mean, it would be crazy if Trump tried to pardon all of his kids or Rudy Giuliani. I think out of that entire group, it would probably be Ivanka and Jared. I think that would get the preemptive pardons.
Because they were involved in the most crimes for their daddy. But
yeah, and just he likes them the most. You know, like they've been the most loyal, Jared and Ivanka. Yeah. Like Rudy's been loyal, but Rudy's also batshit insane, and I don't know if Trump will actually reward that in the long run.
But then if he pardons them, they can't plead the fifth.
Right.
So that's going to screw Trump. So good. And they're still liable at state level. This is just a
right. And like Rudy is up to his ass in rat fucking and criminality everywhere, like at every level.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure The Hague is going to want him at some point. The International Criminal Court is going to be calling him. Same with Jared and Ivanka, honestly.
Yeah. So there's a Justice Department investigation into a bribe for a presidential pardon. And the documentation was released from that, but the person's name was redacted. So this is like a big blind item. Like, who could it be?
And like the whole reason that I put this in our document was like because I want to suggest the idea that it could be Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
And like she's the only one I can think of who has the money, who is sitting in jail right now, and who would try to use some sort of like third-party back channel to get to Trump. I kind of think if Manafort wanted a pardon, he would just call Trump himself and say, can I have a pardon? And he wouldn't try to buy it.
Yeah, it's somebody who has resources. Some people were saying it was the Tiger King guy. But
yeah, Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic. He like, and his people spend a bunch of money in Trump hotels or whatever. And...
But again, that's the kind of situation where Joe Exotic could genuinely call up Trump and ask him for a pardon. He wouldn't have to use a middleman.
Yeah, Trump even talked about him once, didn't he? Or like said, oh God. All right, you want to talk about Melania looking normal? No, looking less miserable.
Well, yeah, she revealed the final White House Christmas decorations, like for the Trump final Christmas. Mm-hmm. In the White House, and they looked really normal. I actually thought a lot of them were kind of pretty.
Yeah, in a basic mall way.
Yeah, she just looks really happy. Ever since Biden won, she has looked thrilled.
She has. They had like the turkey thing. They had the Christmas tree arriving. She was smiling broader than we've seen her ever.
I kind of wonder if she's going to invite Jill Biden over. What do you think?
No.
I think she might.
All right, maybe you're right. I don't think she will, but because her husband's being so petty, of course. But
wait until the Electoral College votes. Maybe like after that, Melania will invite Dr. Jill over.
All right, we'll see. All right, let's move on to the user feedback. So Loren on Twitter tweeted a photo from her Spotify Wrapped. I always want to call it Spotify Unwrapped because that makes more sense, but. Showing she listened to 9 episodes of us in one day. It's like half your workday. Thank you, Loren. I don't see what our appeal is, but when people say they even listen to us once, I'm like, wow, thank you, you know. But oh man, she's sweet.
Thank you, Loren.
So Renata in Brazil sent us a nice email. She wrote, one of my earlier memories reading Celebrity was around the time William landed a helicopter at Kate's family property. I liked the writing style of not sugarcoating it. Also, CB made me realize how other outlets romanticize some stories. I started listening to the podcast at the beginning of quarantine and immediately felt like having a laugh among close friends. It was nice to finally hear the people I've been reading for at least 12 years. I just want to congratulate you on the amazing work and great community formed in the comments. Thank you, Renata. It was nice of you to take the time to write us and to listen and read.
Thank you, Renata. I mean, I remember when William landed the helicopter on Kate's or the Middleton property, but I can't remember exactly when it was. It was before they got engaged.
Yeah, it was beforehand because he wanted to. I don't think he cared about impressing her, but maybe he wanted to impress the press.
I think he just wanted to use military helicopters as his own personal, like, joyriding, whatever, which is gross.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comment of the week is from Trillian on the post where Ozzy Osbourne says he's not going to cheat on Sharon anymore. And Trillian wrote, "This is the equivalent to holding up your empty drug bag and displaying it to all your friends at the party while declaring, 'This ends now.'"
That's a good one.
I thought that was funny.
All right, and then my comment of the week is from Helena Bonham Carter's thing where she was like nonsensically defending Prince Charles and saying, "Oh, but you know the crown is fiction, it's drama." And there are a lot of really great comments on that whole thread, but Belly says, at this point, I kind of do want a disclaimer at the start of the show. Quote, "Some of the events you are about to see have been improved for your viewing pleasure. Go and look it up. They're actually much, much worse than this."
They are. They make people look really sympathetic, like especially the Queen.
Yeah.
They really do.
And like, that's another thing that doesn't make sense about all of Prince Charles breastfeeding and ripping out his hair about how, you know, Peter Morgan is such a Republican and, you know, he hates the crown and he's trying to destroy the monarchy. And Peter Morgan is not that guy. He's not enamored with the monarchy, but he's not trying to destroy it.
He made a fun soap opera out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is.
It's a soap opera. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, bitches, and don't fuck Republicans.
Thanks for listening, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.
I'm sorry about your hair.
I didn't want to start talking about it, but I couldn't help saying something. I try to think of it like, okay, I'm on Zoom all the time. Nobody can see my hair. And I don't think it's that bad, but in certain lights, I'm like, wow, you can really see my scalp.
Oof.
So
get some do-rags. Get some cute scarves and stuff.
Yeah, I will. I've been, they're showing me ads for them too.